Welcome back to the Nerdotic podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I come to you from nerdotic.com, and I am live on our website in San Francisco, California. And I am with two of my co-hosts. One of them down in San Diego is Dennis Bithoulkas. You've seen him a lot lately.
Yeah.
He's been my chum. Say hi, Dennis.
Yeah. Hi, Dennis.
And back from marital bliss to come back to the hell and the fields of the nerd, Jon Reed. What's up, man?
How's it going? I promise you guys, if I finger you tonight, I won't put a tracking device into your uterus. I promise. I promise. It's a promise from me to you.
You said
I really
that
don't care. You said that, really, right?
It's a promise I've broken in the past. But, you know, this time, I swear, no micro condoms in my back pocket.
Well,
how's it going, guys?
Actually, it's great. You know, we made our own uteruses, by the way. Of course, we didn't come with them because we're boys, but we used baby foreskins to make them.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I had to use a preacher joke there.
How's the
how many baby
before we
foreskins?
get into Kingsman tonight? How's the Tick podcasting going?
Good. We got one more to go. It's a passion project. We're very excited. It's slowly getting some views, but people are watching. We appreciate the 200 or 300 people who've watched, but right on.
Yes, check out the Tick stuff that you guys. It's really fun. The show's really funny. The stuff you guys, the podcasts you guys are doing are really, really fun. So, you know, for everyone out there, check out the Tick podcast over on the Nerdotic YouTube channel or at nerdotic.com. Anyway, enough promotional stuff. This movie was fucking cool. Not as good as the first one, but still fucking cool.
Yeah, I thought so. You know, I'm still processing it. It was a long movie.
It was very long. Yes,
very long, and it had a slow part in it, and it was nowhere near as good as the first one. Not as grounded. It went super comic book campy, which I'll get into later. But I don't know. What do you think, Dennis?
Same thing. I mean, like you just said, it did go overly long. There was some stuff that could be cut out. Plus it was kind of weird with Lancelot, Roxy's character, what happened, and the obvious setup for that one too, which we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, I don't know, it wasn't as good as the first one, and you could tell Mark Millar really was absent from this one a lot.
Maybe Mark Millar, yes and no. Mark Millar can do this once in a while. I mean, I've read pretty much every comic he's written, and this actually felt very Mark Millar. It felt like untamed Mark Millar to me. I don't know. What do you think? His stuff can go way out there sometimes, and yeah, I don't know.
Because the story was written
simpler
by Matthew Vaughn and Jane. I forget her last name now.
First of all, Jane Goldman. But
Jane Goldman,
first of all, like watching this movie, all the rumors that Matthew Vaughn is going to be, I don't know if it's fact or rumor at this point, that he'll be working on Man of Steel movies in the future. It makes me really excited because watching the action scenes in this movie, even more than the first one to me, I don't know how they think them up, much less how they actually go about filming them. They're so spectacular. There were three. Now I'm not saying that the action scenes themselves were better than the first movie, because I felt like there were some very special scenes, especially the shootout at the church in the first movie, the Baptist church in the first movie. But in this one, there were just moments where it was just like, how did they even like shoot that? Like the action that the actors or stuntmen were making just seemed like to defy gravity, and sometimes the special effects got a little wonky, but it always just looked so viscerally cool. And so like just thinking about him doing action scenes with any other property makes me really, really excited after this movie. I just all the little special sections, it's like what James Bond would be today with this technology and like a ton of Adderall, right? Like that's how this felt.
Adderall is a great description there of what this movie is, in the good way. I mean, honestly, I've never actually touched that stuff, but I've touched a lot of stuff like it, and yeah, it was. I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm still processing it. I'm gonna come on the side that it was a good movie and that I liked it, and I think I'm gonna kind of agree with what everybody else is saying. is what I've seen. I haven't seen I haven't seen Rotten Tomatoes or anything. I just kind of gotten the feeling that it's kind of a 7.5 out of 10. Everybody thinks it's pretty good, but it's not as good as the first one. I was thoroughly entertained. It felt to me, though, I was just talking to Melissa about this, and actually she brought it up. It felt like a bunch of creatives in a room without a normal person in there. They, how Quentin Tarantino needs a goddamn editor. It's like when you get a bunch of comic creators in a room and they start pitching and they just get weirder and darker and weirder and darker, and they make stuff like Crossed, the Badlands, that comic book. That's creators untamed. That's kind of what this was. It was like these guys doing a lot of Adderall, maybe, I don't know, allegedly, caffeine, pot, I don't know, sitting around going, this would be awesome, and get Elton John to do like a fucking kick and stuff. And it's like, it was funny but bad, like horribly bad. But when he turned around and did his little grin like that, I admit I was laughing my fucking ass off.
You can't help but laugh at some of the cameos. Like Elton John in this it went beyond cameo, right? Like he was an actual character in this story, and I thought he did it's obviously all over the top shit, but it was still like amusing as hell. And like I think it's hard to like. I don't know how we're going to do this recap. I think that we need to break down like visually what we're talking about and then like story-wise what we're talking about, because it's a tale of two stories there, right? Like there were moments like when the people were being stacked into like,
stadium.
Stacked into the stadium, and like the shot where she like takes over the television and she goes like phase 1, phase 2, and like the visuals in this movie are all like really, really interestingly cool. The 50s setup in the middle of the middle of Cambodia, right? Like the Cambodia like
jungle,
rainforest. It's like visually I just loved so much about this movie. And like I guess it doesn't matter that like who cares about really why we were seeing those visuals in one respect. In another respect, like I wish it had been more tied together, but at the same time I liked it. Like I loved seeing all that stuff.
They usually say like movies like this are only as good as the villain. And this is the first time I have to say Julianne Moore did not deliver as the villain, which
she didn't have a lot to work with,
Yeah. She just played it kind of like one note. Whereas Samuel L. Jackson, yes, he did play it one note, but he sold that shit. And it was I think it was the whole lisp thing that he was doing. He wasn't playing his normal, screaming at the screen. As Dave Chappelle did so well in one of his shows. I'm Samuel L. Jackson. I scream every line. Don't you watch my movies? And he wasn't doing that in the first.
I agree, Dennis. I felt like when we returned to the death of Galahad from the first movie in this movie, and you just see Samuel L. Jackson in that character for like a second, you kind of remember like, man, that was awesome. Like there is this little touch of like nostalgic, like, oh, what a fucking amazing villain. Like, yeah.
They actually thank him in the credits. If you notice, it's the first credit that comes up in the credits says, "Thank you to dope ass," is what it said. Samuel L. Jackson.
Thank you, dope ass Samuel L. Jackson. I second it.
And it really missed his sidekick. The scissor foot girl or whatever the hell she was. Like she really made that movie. I mean, he had his Odd Job, and.
The one that we had
Odd Jobs from James Bond.
Did you think it was Did you think it was weird that they have Channing Tatum in this movie and they just put him in a coma for the whole movie? Like it seemed really weird.
It was just like G.I. Joe 2. Except they didn't kill him. No, I thought it was actually, I thought it would be weird and it wasn't. It worked for me. I thought he was perfect in this. Maybe that's his. I think Channing Tatum's action star status has come and gone. He's pure comedian at this point. Like him dancing in his little tights thing, that was freaking hilarious. But I mean, before we go along, I got to say, best line in the movie. We can do a quick round table. It's got to be the old guy saying that's the best shit I've had in 3 years, 3 weeks. That got the biggest laugh. I was in a movie theater up in Northern California, and that like people were laughing the loudest at that. So I don't know that and Elton John. Elton John got a pretty big laugh too. But
agreed. Those were definitely highlights.
For me, I think it was when Poppy is showing the different stages and they finally cure Elton John. Get the fuck out of my room!
That was pretty funny.
It was just the context,
And he can't act, but I mean, like, I don't know, it kind of worked. There was like,
It did, yeah.
This is going to be an ADD Adderall review. I don't know if we can I'm not going to be able to, without taking notes. I'm not going to be able to break down this thing in order or anything, but let's talk about Julianne Moore. She was, listen, she's a long way from being Franny in As the World Turns. Okay. And I did watch her as Franny in As the World Turns. I watched that soap opera, smoking a lot of pot. So it made it very entertaining.
Did your veins turn blue while you were watching?
Did not. Well,
start dancing and laughing.
My body was so toxic, a toxin.
You very well might have blue veins.
So, dude, yeah, she was. That's okay. What took me out of the movie, the things that made it not good, are robot dogs and a 50s. A 50s city in the middle of a jungle, which is supposed to be Americana, but it's how England views Americana. It's not how America, we are way past the 50s, ladies and gentlemen. We are, those are, that's for grandpa. Okay.
Right.
We're past the 70s. That's what
the first movie was what Americans view England, right? And then this movie is what England views America, like cowboys. Yeah. And I think that's like, I prefer the first one because I'm American and I like the nostalgia of the British scene, set pieces and stuff. But this was fun,
the first movie, and I was thinking about this on the drive back. The first movie actually is a slow burn with lots of really good scenes and it builds on it, whereas this one's a really fast burn with a lot of slow scenes in it. Believe it or not, it's kind of weird.
So, what were some of the slow scenes to you, Dennis?
For me, the whole thing with Galahad rebooting his memory and the leptopterist thing, and it was just like, really, do we need to go on? Reboot his brain, get the fucking thing moving.
Yeah,
let's move it along, and then also. You set up what the stages of this thing are, this virus, and then you kind of screw around with the timeline a little bit there, as when they're finally going 12 hours, and it just didn't seem right. Something didn't work out in the math there.
Yeah.
So
agreed. I agree. I agree that there are some issues with the pacing of the movie. It almost felt like a bunch of music video directors needed something to connect their music videos together with.
Yeah.
And that's what we got here. But at the same time, like, those were badass music videos, right? Like, so that's my problem. It's like,
and the henchman, the guy with the hand, should have died in that opening sequence and should have just been gone.
Right. What? Yeah, that was a weird plot hole. Like, how did he not? Like, it was supposed to just be the hand was left behind, but then all of a sudden he pops up and he's totally fine.
Well, yeah, he had fallen, he'd gone out the front window, but still, after that sequence, it should have been like the James Bond movie, right. You kill the bad guy in the beginning, and that way you tie up the loose ends to the first movie, because he was the loose end of the first movie. I understand they wanted to bring him in as the henchman, but they could have brought somebody on better. That, again, he was a poor substitute for the girl with the blade legs.
Yeah. Very, very poor. And I like you're totally right about it being as good as your villain. She was paper thin. She was just paper thin. Like, we got the little background on her that she was graduated from Harvard and was crazy. Okay.
Right.
I need a little more than that.
I think they were depending on the performance to push through the fact that there was a lack of a character. They gave her a couple quirks, right? Like, she loves the 50s. She thinks she's this businesswoman. So they gave her these quirks, and I think they hoped that that was enough to flesh out like a full character. And I think her portrayal was actually really dynamic. It's just that the character wasn't anything, right? Like, she was fine. I think she was actually pretty fun, but the character itself was like, all she did was sit around in her diner, and like, there wasn't much.
Laugh maniacally,
yeah. And versus like Samuel L. Jackson, who's like traipsing all over the world doing crazy shit. Like, there's nothing to chase if she's just sitting there waiting.
Well, not only that, he was menacing in the first movie too, because he shows up at the Kingsman to get a suit.
Yeah, that was scary.
And all that, and basically he threatens them right there to their face.
Yeah. I mean, she did kill them all with missiles, but you would think that they could have it seemed like a pretty simple thing, just kill all these things with missiles. I guess they needed the information on where the stuff was in the first place, so they got it hacked by the dude with the hand. But at the same time, no missile defense system when you've got all these other crazy ass gadgets. Like, okay. So yeah, there's problems. However, you guys have to admit though, like some of those scenes were just like all the lasso work they did in this movie looked fucking phenomenal. Like it was so cool to see that. And it's like nothing else, you can't compare it really to anything else.
Well, also you were talking about Channing Tatum being kind of wasted in this. I agree with you. And I almost thought that the tequila and whiskey role should have been switched, but then you have Channing Tatum being a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers. And you can't have that.
Right.
So,
do you guys think that this was a setup for Channing Tatum in the next movie? Like this was just to introduce the character, then he basically joins the Kingsman, it looks like, in the next movie.
Well, Matthew Vaughn said that he wants to do a spinoff of The Statesman.
Oh, that makes sense.
Its own movie. So
that's weird though. I mean, you'd think that they'd want to just keep him. Like, I can see why you could do that. It seems weird to spread so thin when you could just pack movies full of all these stars all the time.
Well, now they've signed that deal with Netflix. That could open up a whole. I mean, they can just do Netflix stuff now. I mean,
Millar
World. This is part of Millar World, and it belongs to Netflix now. So maybe they just opened up a whole new door where they can do a series.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mispronounce his name. Is it Taron Egerton? Egerton?
Yeah, it's funny because he's Eggsy and his name is Egerton. It's kind of fun.
I fucking love him. He was great in this too. This guy is like, you root for him. He's just like such a good character, and
he's a great actor actually too. He did a great movie. I don't know if you remember the Olympics back in '84 when they had Eddie the Eagle. Remember Eddie the Eagle? So they actually did a movie based on Eddie the Eagle with Hugh Jackman, and he played Eddie the Eagle, and he does a phenomenal job of playing this. He actually looked at the films and talked to him and everything, and he just really kind of got into character, and he's actually a really good actor. I like him a lot. So
he's a really good actor, and this is it's weird that Millar and Anne Vaughn are both known for God. Oh my God, they're just
like over
the top, but also just kind of dark. I mean, like Millar's written some. I mean, if you read the Wanted comic, I mean that is some dark. I mean, it starts out with an assassin's dad shooting a gay porn and then getting murdered.
Yeah,
and then there's a bad guy that's made out of 666 pieces of the shit of the most evil people in the world. Yeah,
evil feces. Yeah.
So I mean, he's a dark motherfucker, but he can write like really good heroes.
Yeah,
he's so. I mean, like the duality in this guy is amazing. Like he can write this really dark, jaded, twisted shit, and then like make a really good hero that you can root for. I mean, the one thing I was missing, believe it or not, was where was Eggsy's mom? Where was his little baby sister or brother?
Sister. Yeah, and actually, his mom does show up at the end. Briefly for a cameo
in the wedding. Yeah, I mean, like, but they don't like, that was a big part of what made him, what grounded him in the first movie and made us root for him too. It's like, here's this kid who's kind of a, he's a fuck off, but he still loves his mom and his little, his little kid sister. And
instead they show his mates who show up, who you don't really remember from the first movie. Which I think
those weren't the same mates.
No, they recast all those guys. So
yeah. So, he probably has a lot of mates, but
so we're going to be spoiling everything that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it or you care about spoilers, bye. Otherwise, I really want to talk about Merlin and where that, why and why. Just it's I get it. There were stakes there and everything, but are we losing that actor? Are they going to bring him back?
Yeah.
Is there going to be?
I
evil
think
Merlin?
Mark Strong wanted it out.
Oh, he wanted out.
My guess is he wanted out. Wow. And also they can bring Halle Berry back in as well. She can transfer.
Yeah, 'cause there's no gel that's going to put him back together again.
Yeah. And Roxy or Lancelot, when I don't think she's dead.
Okay,
That
so
whole
where do you
thing.
think that's going?
Well, that was the whole thing. You see her grab the dog and make a run
Yes.
for the window just as the missiles hit. And it hits the missiles hit not the house, but it hits the ground at the front of the house. So she has enough chance. Yeah, we don't know exactly where she was. She's probably in the back or something. She either comes back in the third movie as, a villain, which is for what they seem to be setting this up every time. Yeah. Or she's going to come back as, she was in the rubble or something like that.
Sure.
And took a little while to get out.
Yeah, it seems weird that they'd bring her back because, I mean, maybe she just wasn't available for this movie, but they still want to use her for I don't know. It seems weird that she wouldn't be in this one at all, and then they'd bring her back somehow. Like it would make more sense if they killed her like halfway through the movie or at the end of the movie if they really wanted to use her. But you're right. It did look like I could tell. I thought she was coming back in this movie because of the way they filmed it. And I was like, oh no, she got up. Like she had time. She could be she's an agent and, she'll figure this out.
It's maybe I don't know. They did. If you go back and watch the trailers, which I was doing to try to pull the art for this, there's a bunch of crap that they didn't put in the movie. Like Julianne Moore's character, like setting up the whole say goodbye to the Kingsman. Nope, there was none of that. It was just she attacked. She
actually says say goodbye to the Kingsman in the movie.
But not for a setup. What they make it look like is, maybe I missed that part, is that she sets up the whole saying goodbye to the Kingsman. She just attacks them, man. So that's that. Yeah, there's another couple parts that aren't in the movie either.
Wasn't there a part with Channing Tatum at the 50s diner? Like, I don't know why I thought he was supposed to be part of that fight scene, but I thought I saw in the trailer that he was part of a fight scene at some point. And no, he wasn't. He did the initial one where he attacks them, but that's it. And it was weird. I really thought he was going to be a bigger part. He was a much bigger part of the trailers.
Yeah, he was. Well, I mean, God, they put him in as starring Tatum Channing. God, it's getting late. Dude, yeah, that was a bit of a hoodwink on that one, but instead.
So let's kind of rate. Okay,
we got the Red Viper.
Yeah, exactly. We got Oberyn. Let's rate a little bit. Let's rate the action scene. So we got the scene in the cab, the fight scene inside a cab that's careening through London. We got the fight scene on the mountain on the ski gondola. We got another bar fight, but with lassos this time. And then we got the final scene at the 50s town with Elton John and lassos and grenades.
Well, you also have the Statesman fight with, it was a brief fight, but with Channing Tatum.
Yeah, and you saw Channing Tatum take down the two really quickly. But the big
that wasn't a full-on action scene though. That was
the big sequences were those four, and are there any others that I'm missing?
Yeah, there's also the one at the end with whiskey. In the bar, in the diner.
Yeah. I kind of yes. Okay, so and then there's the final one inside the diner. I kind of lumped all those together. Everything that took place at that last act.
At the end, yeah, that's pretty much a big long action scene with one little pause. That's about it.
The pause in the middle, yeah. So, like, how do you think these rates, first of all, in comparison to each other, and then also in comparison to the last movie? Because I feel like the shootout at the Baptist church was probably the pinnacle of the series as far as like really cool action sequences. But I thought the bar scene with the lassos was really cool, and I really liked that opening scene inside the cab. I thought they did a really good job of opening the movie with that.
Yeah.
Go on, Dennis.
Oh, I was going to say that opening scene for me was actually the best fight, the best action scenes out of the movie. And it was comparable to the Baptist church, but the Baptist church kind of blows it away because of and I think what it was is Matthew Vaughn he used too much shaky camera. Directors, man, you guys got to move away from the damn shaky camera. I know it's in vogue and you guys like it. It was in vogue 10 years ago. Stop.
I totally disagree. I think it looked amazing. I think that he uses it really well. There are people I agree with you with that use it too much, but I think criticizing the visuals in this movie is crazy. I think that this movie looked better than most.
It's not really shaky camera. It's not. It's
weird 3D
power. It's motion blur, power zooming 3D effect.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're just moving up, moving down, moving back, and moving forth, and then shifting. So it's like there's a camera on top of somebody's head, and they're just going, whoo, whoo,
Yeah.
Like that. That's that's the best way I could describe it. It's fucking
And digitally
gnarly.
enhanced. Like they digitally enhance a lot
Tons
of
of
it.
motion blur. My
It's
God.
crazy.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of there's a lot of CG that was
Yes.
in those scenes as well. That's the whole thing. And like you were saying, the actors were defying the laws of physics, and that was the reason why, because a lot of them weren't real actors; they were CG actors, and flying around.
The reason that opening sequence wasn't quite on par for me with the Baptist church was just there weren't as many moving pieces, right? Like that church fight in the first movie, there's so many people coming from so many different angles, and to cover all the action that happened in that was like so frenetic and so nuts. And then in this one, it was still really cool inside the moving vehicle through London. You get to see London as it's happening, but it's all in this confined space between two people that one is mechanically enhanced. So like all the movements really, really nuts, right? So like I like that it was more confined, and so it made it, they had to play more with like how quickly a camera would move from point A to point B and in what direction it could go, feeling like you're inside the cab. But there weren't as many like moving parts as there were in the like I think tentpole scene from that first film.
Well, yeah, I think the Baptist church, the camera, if you look at the camera in the Baptist church, it's actually like a person moving around Colin Firth's character,
right?
And just watching these people coming in. Whereas the taxi cab, it kept moving around the taxi cab and outside of the taxi cab and over the taxi cab. And it just kept, and there was a lot of quick edits. And like you were saying, too many music videos, directors putting together all their different kind of versions of music videos.
Totally. The music was really good in the movie too, though. Like that, the song I think helped make that scene in a big way.
If you like Elton John, yeah.
Well, no,
the cab scene is clearly the best directed scene. It looked really fucking difficult, especially when they did the drifting thing, when it was like that was all digital, but that like fucking great. I mean,
very long drift around that turn.
It is so hard to CG cars, okay, because we all know what they look like in motion. We've all seen fast cars, so it's hard to fake that shit. And they did. I mean, it's not perfect, but it was fucking great. Now, and the church scene is cinema history. Okay, I mean, we're like comparing it to like that shit's gonna go down in cinema history, and every time you like see some stupid special, if they still make these things in 20 years, that's gonna be on it as one of the best action scenes ever shot. Period. I think that's without a doubt. So to compare that is impossible. But I liked all the action, even the weird fight with the guys in the Letterman jackets and the death by scissors and shit like that.
Yeah,
I just didn't like the fucking dogs. I thought that was stupid. But everything else. I don't know. I mean, I like old Elton John. I do, but yeah, Benny and Jet, and I think it was just a gag that might have gone a little too long. But
agreed. I didn't realize the dogs were going to be like that big of a part of the. I did like how Benny was charging at the end, so he couldn't join the fight right away.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny.
That was funny.
I think the real strength of these movies is the ability that Matthew Vaughn has to realize a comic book looking world in the real world without it looking like dumb. Like it's not too grounded and it's not too crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but it like visually speaking, it works and it makes sense and it looks so good. And I think that I know I keep saying that, but it's just like of all these movies, Justice League, Avengers, all these movies, none of them look as smooth and polished and cool and comic-y as the stuff that Vaughn is doing.
Well, you also got to remember Vaughn isn't muting the colors either when he's doing this. He's actually using comic book palette colors is what he's using, like bright, vibrant colors that you would find in the real world.
Yes.
And some that you wouldn't. And even like, for example, when they fill up Colin Firth's room full of water, and it's blue tinted. It's very bright blue tinted water, so you can see everything. It's like bright, and it's giving you that sense of urgency.
Yes.
And then that sense of it ain't gonna happen, even though it's still bright. And yeah, whereas if you had done this as a Warner Brothers DC movie, it would have been dark and murky and whatnot.
Totally.
Well, that's how you hide special effects. I mean, that's how you hide bad special effects. That's all that is.
when
it's not a
Julianne Moore
choice.
as Poppy takes over the television and she's basically threatening the world with this drug, she's got the antidote if they meet her demands. The way that was shot and the way that would look, you could put the Joker in there and have it be like a badass Batman scene, but we've never seen that, right? They won't give us that, and I don't understand why. And it's really frustrating because something like, I love the Kingsman, but I would love to see how polished and good the Kingsman is and frenetic and interesting the Kingsman is. I'd love to see that in a Suicide Squad, right? Like that's. I'm not saying that we want to be like really, really kitsch with all of our superhero stuff. I'm just saying like they're doing it with off-brand properties that I love. I love these, but I would love to see a Joker scene that looked like that, like really honestly. So I don't know.
Well, we had Matthew Vaughn on a superhero movie. He got muted by Bryan Singer, but it was still one of the better superhero movies ever made, in my opinion. It's certainly one of the best, if not the best, X-Men movie. Arguably, I kind of think it's the best X-Men movie, personally.
Actually, the first 2/3 of the movie are really, really good. It's just that last third is.
I agree with you, Dennis.
I dig the music in that. I don't know, man. Go back. That movie's got style. That movie's got a lot of style, which comic book movies do not have. Okay, it's kind of like that's a recent phenomenon. Like Thor's going to have a ton of style. Okay, Deadpool had some style. Coolness. It's one thing Joss Whedon isn't
cool.
Is cool.
No,
he's not fucking cool. Matthew Vaughn has gotten laid. Okay, he is fucking
well,
cool.
Apparently,
dude.
Joss Whedon knows too.
Well, yes, well, yeah, but it's also the type of girl you go after. Didn't this movie make you want to go to the Glastonbury Music Festival?
Yes.
Like I'm buying tickets. Melissa and I are like, we are so fucking there, and I know half of it was digital. And I don't care. I want to go. I want to be in a tent, jumping around to some stupid music. That'd be fun.
My spirit animal is
my spirit animal.
Yeah.
Is a jackalope.
My spirit animal is a cricket.
Yes.
Cricket.
There's no crickets in San Francisco, Dennis.
Cricket.
I'm not in San Francisco. I'm in San Diego.
Yeah, but you're from San Francisco.
I know.
That's why you left.
My spirit animal's a raccoon. I'm from San Francisco.
Raccoon, yeah, there's plenty of those motherfuckers around.
It's a rat.
So good. So
trash rat. Trash panda, sorry.
Trash panda. We've gone over some of the performances, the look of the film, and a bit about how weak the story kind of tying it all together is. But where do you think the Kingsman is going to go from here, Gary? Like, do you think it's do you think that this is going to be kind of a transitional movie? And the next one we get is going to be kind of back to England, or do you think that this is kind of going to be status? This is what we're going to get from now on. They're going to go to a couple different cities around the world. We're going to get a couple different cultural touchstones, and it's just going to be like a frenetic music video on Adderall every single time.
I don't think we're going to get another one.
Oh,
I'm going to go down that road. Unless this movie does balls deep money, I don't think we're going to get another one. And I just got the feeling, I don't know. I don't feel good about like movie going audiences right now. I mean, I guess they went in droves to it, which I mean, I've heard people love and I've heard people absolutely hate. And I don't know. I mean, we had a full crowd. I just don't know if it was strong enough sequel to get a third movie. I liked it, but I think they might rein it in and wait for Netflix. That's what I would do. I mean, it's great to have a movie, but this would almost be a better series. You know, if you tone it down a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. If you can get what's his name again? I'm gonna look. Taron Egerton to come back. I love him. I don't want to see a statesman. I mean, and then like
no.
They brought Tatum Channing to England at the end. So he's not going to be a statement. He's going to be a Kingsman.
Right.
So what are they going to do? Statesman with Jeff Bridges and Halle Berry? I have no interest.
That's why I think we're going to get a Kingsman 3.
Yeah.
Bond's already talking about what it's going to be about. Millar's weighed in. I think that the studios like it. It does relatively well. It's kind of a new brand for them that they can kind of push whenever it comes around. They've got this Netflix deal to kind of fall back on, and I think we're going to get at least a sequel to this. And I think that they set it up for one. I think seeing Channing Tatum show up at the Kingsman with his suit on, like he's going to join the team. I think that that's exactly where we're going to go at the beginning of the next movie. So I don't know. I think that they definitely set it up for one. I would say it would have to be a pretty big Fantastic Four type flop for them to not give it a sequel.
Okay, I hope I'm wrong.
But you know where I would go with this?
Where would you go?
If I was going to do a number 3, is you already have your setup villain, which is Bruce Greenwood, who played the president.
Yes.
Who's been arrested. Yes. Who already, he wants to kill all these people.
All these drug addicts.
All these drug addicts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get him released along with, you can have some people from Valentine's Corporation that are left over. There's still some of those guys out there. You have some from
maybe
Puppies.
he's AI. Maybe.
Yeah. You can bring him back as a Max Headroom kind of, with the lisp. That'd be really funny. And you basically meld all the two movies together and make a really good villain.
Yeah,
that just really wants to kill the poor people in society, if you will, which is right up Eggsy's alley.
Yes, it is,
because he is from the streets and all that.
Robin Hood, essentially. Yeah.
As they keep saying, as he goes, why do people think that I know, these drugs, what these drugs do and everything? Just because for my background.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys think that Bond could take this sort of not be
he was smoking fucking pot. Yeah. His buddies were smoking pot, so I could see where the assumption came from.
Right.
No, sorry to interrupt you, John.
No. I was just wondering if you guys think that James, the Bond series, could take a step in this sort of direction, or if it's just going to kind of stay where it is in the ethos and let other franchises come along with these kind of more up to more modern spy adventures. Or do you think Bond should take note of Kingsman, or do you think no, these things are two different things?
I think eventually it will. I mean, these things go in cycles. People want a grounded Bond, and then people want a fantastical Bond. Like Pierce Brosnan was weird because he started out with the grounded Bond with GoldenEye. And then he went back. He went straight to the Roger Moore at the end, which there's Sean Connery fans and there's Roger Moore fans. I'm a Roger Moore fan. Okay, I grew up with Roger Moore. That's Sean Connery's were poorly edited movies that were horribly acted and they were bad. I mean, go back and watch. They're bad. There's some of the worst editing you've ever seen in a film. They were hits despite that. I like the smoothness of Roger Moore. I think these movies are more like Roger Moore with a better story. Roger Moore Bond movies with a better story. So where do they go with Bond from here? They've done this grounded dark thing for a long time now, and it only worked with really one movie.
Yep,
frankly, Casino Royale. And now I think they could take a cue from it. I think you got to go. I don't know if you're not going to tackle with Bond real world issues, which they're not going to, because they're too afraid to. They're gonna unless Bond's gonna be fighting like Irish army and Russians forever now. Okay, because they're the safe villains. Unless you have him going into fucking Syria or something like that and taking on ISIS or something like that, then fucking get fantastical. Because that's the villain. Okay, It's not fucking Putin. It's fucking ISIS. Have Bond take on ISIS. If you want to get grounded and real, that'd be awesome. But they won't. They'll never fucking do that. Not in a million years.
Okay, so we'll come back with final thoughts, but let's break down a little bit of what we're doing over here at Nerdotic. How about that, Gary?
Sure.
We've got the fall TV season starting. So we are going to be covering a lot of the stuff that we covered last year. Dennis and I will be continuing to do the CW Superhero Roundup. We'll be adding in Black Lightning to that. But we're also going to be covering a lot of news shows. We're going to be covering Star Trek Discovery. That's what's coming up first. We have an episode this Sunday and this Monday that we're going to be reviewing. Gary and I will be doing those as they're released on CBS All Access. And then we're going to get together right after that to talk about the huge disaster that is about to be Inhumans. We're going to just have fun with that one. We hope you join us. I actually think those are going to be fun podcasts because there's going to be a lot to joke about.
There's a huge conspiracy. Sorry to interrupt there, John, but there's really a huge conspiracy theory that Dennis and I and you have about this too, John, that we're going to unfold for you because I completely believe it now. It kind of started out as a gag between me and Dennis, and I fucking 100% believe that this conspiracy, which we will say for the Inhumans podcast, is true.
Yes.
It is true, and it is two men's egos.
Yep. So that's the Inhumans.
Well,
we're
one
also
other thing. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you before you do that. Also, the Inhumans. There's something that we brought up on this podcast way back when we first saw the Inhumans. Remember that little tagline that says "complete series" or "complete season"?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Well, now it's been made kind of prominent in even new advertising for the Inhumans, which has brought speculation that we brought up as to whether this is the only season of the Inhumans that we're ever going to get.
It pretty much is.
We shall see,
so.
and we pretty much will be, if we even get the whole season. We are also going to be covering a slightly more anticipated show, I think, The Gifted, starting on October 2nd. And in addition, Gary and Dennis will be back to talk about Mr. Robot Season 3, as well as Stranger Things Season 2. And then later on in the fall, we'll be tackling Runaways and Happy. Those we're all looking forward to. My favorite creators working on Runaways over at Hulu, and Gary's BFF, Derek Robertson, is very excited to have his artwork adapted to the sci-fi show Happy. So stay tuned for all of that throughout the fall. We'll also be covering some more movies as they are released throughout the fall. We've got Blade Runner, Thor, Justice League, Star Wars, Bright on Netflix. We're looking forward to. In addition, we're going to be adding some comic book reviews. So stay tuned for those. We'll be reviewing. We're going to start with some of our classic favorites, and then we'll move on to some of the more modern stuff as we go through that. And we're also going to be launching our new Nerdotic Shorts, which will be short videos released on YouTube, 5 to 10 minute clips of reactions and news items so that we can cover more stuff throughout the week. In addition to the Nerdotic News podcast, we're kind of renaming the official Nerdotic podcast as Nerdotic News, and that'll be a weekly show with Dennis and Gary. I'll try to show up every time I'm available. So that's the slate going into the fall. And
one more. We also have The Punisher on Netflix.
Yes.
13th.
Yes.
When is it?
Well, supposedly it was leaked October 13th, which is Friday the 13th.
What? Holy shit. That's like a month sooner than. That's why they've been keeping it a mystery.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. It's just rumored, but if it does drop, we'll
no, it was on promotional material. That was in a magazine. Somebody goofed up basically and put it out there, and yeah.
Well, we shall see. But yes, we'll also be covering Punisher whenever it drops to Netflix.
Yes, we will. So, I don't know how the hell we're going to do that, but I'm
excited for all of all this stuff, guys.
Dude, that is just the beginning. I mean, then like our like there's still Taboo and Expanse and Westworld and Game of Thrones a million years from now. Fucking Ash vs. Evil Dead. There's so much shit.
So much stuff is dropping next year. We're gonna get all the Freeform Marvel stuff. It's just like crazy. It's crazy how much stuff that we love to talk about is being released now. I feel like this is truly a year of like comic book adaptations to TV series, or at least like geek nerd culture kind of being really embraced on television. We've gotten it. We've gotten it like drip throughout, but now they're just slamming us with it.
I think it's actually a passing of the torch. I think Infinity War is upon us. I think that's pretty much the end of the superhero run. It'll trickle along for a couple more years after that, but I think that's kind of it, guys. I mean, for Marvel anyway. Unless DC does something spectacular, which they could.
Yeah, we'll place
Fox.
bets on this. Because I'm on the other. I think we're just we're smack dab in the middle as far as I'm concerned. We'll see.
Any more words of Karen Carpenter? We've only just begun.
We've only just
well,
begun.
if Mark Millar gets to do either Fantastic Four or Superman, I think he put his name out there, and I think Marvel or DC would be stupid not to grab him up like tomorrow.
Yep, agreed. So Gary, I was actually at the Big Brother finale on the lot filming interviews in the backyard, and they aired the Star Trek trailer at the finale. And this was a room full of like random Big Brother and press. Like this wasn't like CBS people. This was all the press room, and everyone cheered at the trailer. I'm really surprised at kind of the casual reaction to what we're seeing from Star Trek. It may not translate to the series getting picked up, and it may not be as good as it looks like it is in the trailers, but I'm really excited to break down the first 2 episodes this week with you.
Well, this could very well be a Battlestar Galactica situation. Actually, something very similar happened. Jason Isaacs went out and did the same thing that why am I blanking on his name now? Adama. No, not Ronald Moore. The guy who played Adama. The guy who played Adama.
Edward James Olmos.
Edward James Olmos came out of Comic-Con and said, if you're a Battlestar Galactica fan, you're going to hate this show. And he got a lot of shit for that. And then the series came out, and I was like ready to hate it. And there's nowhere near as much love for Battlestar Galactica as there was for Star Trek.
Right.
And the thing is, he said something pretty similar. He's like, I dare you not to watch. I dare you not to subscribe. I mean, he like dared Star Trek people. I think the biggest thing that the Star Trek, the Trekkies, not Trekkers, Trekkies, have a problem with is just what they've done. It's like, it was stupid. You should have just made up a different race. I mean, that it would have been fine. You would have been totally fine to make up or use an underused. There's tons of Star Trek characters. That this is going to be a reboot, man. So they've come out and said they kind of want to like shake their leg, so to say, of the Star Trek fans. They want to make new ones.
Yeah,
which is really stupid.
We'll see. Well, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. My argument is they just had 3 movies that were, some of them were pretty good, and the last one made no money, like none. And I think Beyond is going to be better than this. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
We'll see.
If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'll freely admit it. If I'm entertained, I'll go, God damn. And just like Battlestar Galactica, I remember I'll never forget sitting down there. I don't know. I'll watch 10 minutes of this. It's going to be shit. And I was hooked within 30 seconds. Like I was like, oh, so, I can change my mind.
Yeah, we shall see. I'm just excited. It's been a long time. It's been delayed, and I'm really excited to see a new Star Trek TV show, good or bad. It'll be fun to talk about.
It's gonna have to be spectacular for me to pay for it, though. I mean, like, golly gee, I wish they wouldn't have gone that route.
Hopefully, I can share my CBS All Access with you because I have it for Big Brother.
Hey, I'm gonna end up fucking plugging back in if we're doing this little podcasting thing, and I have to watch shows on time. I'm gonna have to go back.
Boo-hoo.
No, dude, they've been begging me to come back. I've got like so many specials I get in the mail every week. It's kind of ridiculous.
So that's it. That is our fall slate. I'm really excited for a lot of this stuff, good or bad. Like I said, it's going to be fun to talk about. So, let's, anything, final thoughts. Dennis, what are your kind of, anything that hasn't been said, or just final thoughts on Kingsman and how you enjoyed your evening at the movies this evening?
Well, I had a drink while I was there at the movies.
watching
the movie. Yes. It wasn't bad. I mean, like I said, it was a fun movie. It just wasn't spectacular. It wasn't as spectacular as the first movie, and for all the reasons that we said. Am I going to buy it on DVD? Probably not, unless there's some good extras on it. Yes, I probably will buy it. But otherwise, I don't feel like I really need to.
Yeah, I hear you. Gary, what are your final thoughts on Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
Glad I went. It was nice to have a date night with my wife, which we rarely get. Yes.
Did you pick up a little finger condom on your way out of the theater?
I did.
Did you
I'm
plan
going
a
to use
tracker?
it right after this podcast.
There
Actually, she's asleep.
Clock's a ticking.
We're fucking old, dude.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? The clock's ticking. Yeah, right. Literally. Yeah. No, God, I hope she didn't see that.
Cut that
Dude,
out. from audio.
will I watch it again? I will watch it again when it comes on like HBO or something like that. I'll definitely watch it again, but I will not pay to see it again, and I will not own it on Blu-ray.
I did not go with my wife to see the movie this evening. I went with one of my buddies. I think that she's gonna enjoy it. Her family's from England, so I can't wait to watch it with her. She liked the first one, surprisingly, because she's not really into this stuff very often. For my opinion on it really was like, I feel like they wasted a few actors in this movie with the material that they gave them. And I feel like there wasn't a lot of there. However, I would say just as a visceral, like fun movie going experience, it's up there, man. Like I think that the movie, like just one watch through is enough. But I think that everyone should go out and see it. One, because I'd like to get more of them, but two, because I thought that this one was just like, there's nothing that looks this good to me. Like this movie and this series is unique in that it's like almost flawlessly polished as a comic book action adventure movie. And so like to have that amount of polish, it's worth enjoying once or twice. And so I'm with you, Gary. I'll probably watch it on HBO. I'll definitely try to watch it when I have time to see it with Suzanne. But other than that, like I don't see myself going back to it like I do with the first movie. It'll be unless they give us a really good third and I want to watch all three in a row. I don't see myself watching past the first. If I want to see Kingsman, I'll go back to the first one, right?
Yeah.
So. But that said, I'm still going to say that I very much enjoyed it. It was worth the ticket price. And I would recommend anyone else go out and check it out too, because it's just so much fun. It's just really fun.
Awesome. DC, grab
him.
Matthew Vaughn. Grab
With
Matthew
both
Vaughn
hands.
with his balls with both hands, kidnap him, get your finger condom, stick it up the butthole, and fucking drag him over to the WB lot, because you need to do that right fucking now.
And lasso Taron Edgerton
Yeah.
as well, and have him put on a cape or cowl.
You know,
Oh, dude,
honestly,
put a ring on him that's green.
no.
Yeah.
Booster Gold.
That's good too. There's a lot of good ones.
Oh,
Yes.
Booster Gold is a joke. Okay.
Kid Flash.
I think, dude, he would be a better Flash. Oh my God, he'd be a great Flash.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd be a great
Yes.
Flash. Put a
Yeah, you know
green
what?
ring on him. He needs to play one of the like mainstays.
Big. Yeah.
Yeah, not like Blue Beetle and Booster Gold nerd.
Every time I see Ezra Miller, even just in a photo or something like that, I want to smack the little fake mustache off his
Yeah.
face.
On that note, check
Why?
out everything we're doing at www.
Why do you want to smack? Oh, that those little peach fuzz.
Yeah,
That's not even a mustache. I was like, why are you saying he's got a mustache on
It's
his?
the faux. It's the little faux stash, whatever he's got
Like
going
Logan's got more
Stash.
stash than he does.
Again, www.nerdotic.com. Check out all of our videos, articles, podcasts are all aggregated there. But if you want to see more videos like these, head over to YouTube and check out their Nerdotic channel there. Please hit subscribe and the little bell next to it that says alerts, because it'll let you know all of the videos as they're dropping and when we're going live with stuff.
Ding.
Head over to facebook.com/Nerdotic podcast. There you can find all the news that Dennis so greatly posts and comments on as it's coming about, and all of the community interaction over there. Like us. Again, it's facebook.com/Nerdotic podcast. We'll also be doing some of our shows live exclusively on Facebook this coming fall. Our CW superhero show is going to be live on Facebook instead of on YouTube, as well as Riverdale if we're able to cover it. That's going to be kind of a scheduling thing, and a couple other feedback podcasts that we want to do. We find that the interaction is a lot easier to take comments and questions and even pipe people into our to our shows. So a lot of the stuff that we're trying to get more community engagement around will be exclusive on Facebook. And then if you want, yes,
and you might even win prizes.
And you might even win prizes. And for all of the audio only content, check us out. We're on the podcast app on iTunes, so you can subscribe to Nerdotic there. Download all of the audio formats for this stuff. You can also check us out on SoundCloud now, right, Gary?
Yes.
So SoundCloud or the iTunes podcast app, that's where you get all of our audio content. So I think that's the majority of it. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Jon Reed 16. Dennis is at DaForce. And Gary, as usual, he's at Nerdotics. That's with an S. And yeah, I guess we're ready to sign off.
Right on. Take us out, Dennis.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Bye, everybody.
Good
See
night.
you next time. Sunday, Star Trek.
Sunday.
Sunday.
And Monday, apparently. Also Star Trek. Lots of stuff.